Hi everyone, this is show 60 of Toku Break and Shonen Barbershop. Nice to meet you.
Hello, it's Draven Darkwood. A pleasure to see you as always. And remember, stay frosty.
Hi everybody, this is Loli Lexi here. Hope your weekend and or weeks or whatever have been very great and full of splendiferous wonder. I am filling in for the incomparable Zonga T. Felding, and this is Audiosolvent. Today's topic will be video games, and we've got Showa here to kick it off.
Oh, why thank you. Well, one game that comes to mind is the wonderful 101 for the Wii U, which will be coming out, I don't know when, but hopefully soon before the year is over or when 2013 rolls in.
Yay, end of the world.
But in all seriousness, though, the wonderful 101, from what I've gathered, is a story about three heroes as they are rescuing citizens of a small city from evil space invaders. They recruit them as they continue on fighting the invaders themselves. It's a really great game, and is a wonderful use of the Wii U's new control system, which allows you to go through certain areas that you can't see on TV screen, but rather on the controller itself. It's a really interesting concept. Some people will credit this as Beautiful Joe meets Pikmin, but in some ways it's not Pikmin, but it's its own unique game in its own right. I guess the Beautiful Joe reference comes from, like, the red dude. They call him Bonsai Man, but I don't know if that's going to be his real name, but other than that, it's going to come out later on. Another game that I want to talk about is one of their initial crown jewels since their contract with Sega, called Bayonetta. Now, Bayonetta, that game really surprised me. A lot of people say it's like Devil May Cry, but I think it's like Beautiful Joe in 3D as opposed to Devil May Cry. The reason why I say that is because, one, like Beautiful Joe, she can alter time. The only difference is all she has to do is dodge an enemy attack as soon as it comes in. And another thing is that the ranking system is dependent on some of the sub-missions. All the medals you acquire will accumulate to, like, your final grade, whether it be gold, bronze, stone, which is the worst, and pure platinum, which is the highest score you ever get. Plus, there's a lot of sexual innuendo in the game, which is surprisingly, at the end of the day, pretty funny and pretty decent. Not all that bad, really.
Well, for the terms of the sexual innuendo of Bayonetta, it's one of those comically laughable ones. I mean, like, she has a British accent, she sucks on a lollipop 24/7, and how it's portrayed in its very stylized manner is just so blunt. It's freaking hilarious. But I would have to say it's more related to Devil May Cry, though. The reason being is Devil May Cry was the first game to really base your gameplay on style, and Bayonetta has a really good sense of flow with the combos and the thousands of combos and the whole style of how you have to fight. Now, I think the Beautiful Joe comparison is very legitimate considering the time mechanics and such. But I would consider it more Devil May Cry, since Beautiful Joe was more of a comic book action game that just happened to have a sense of humor. Devil May Cry was simply a spectacle fighter with a story to it, and that's more like what Bayonetta is. Bayonetta a little less on the story, more on the spectacle. So I would say it's a little bit more Devil May Cry than Beautiful Joe.
You have a point there. Of course, by the end of the day, it's like half and half of what they've previously done during their days at Capcom.
It's a good game, so I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Another thing is that they have a sequel out, which, in my honest opinion, was entirely unexpected. because I was checking Nintendo's website and they mentioned Bayonetta on their list of games that will be coming out for the Wii U. And what was an even greater shocker for me was that this one is going to be a Nintendo exclusive as opposed to for multiple consoles. Of course, the negative criticism for it was kind of expected because a lot of people who don't even own Nintendo consoles, let alone the Nintendo Wii, are like, "Are you serious? Do you really want us to waste $300 just for Bayonetta 2?" But then, at the end of the day, it's like, this was a good move. But also...
You continue.
But yeah, also, this too is kind of a mixed bag because it kind of shows that Nintendo has a strong liking to what Platinum Games has been doing from the very get-go. And Nintendo is going to be more involved in this as opposed to Sega, which they had a contract with some of their games, Bayonetta being one of them, Anarchy Reigns, and so forth.
For me, it just kind of seems like Nintendo is, since they brought out the Wii from, the first, 7th generation console race or something? I think it's the 7th. Mm-hmm. When, it was the PS3 super hardware of Doom, and then you had the Xbox 360, the bright young sport with so much energy, and then you had the Wii, which was pretty much the reliable guy that you can always go to. I think this is just Nintendo trying to branch out from that, with some of their games like some of their shooters or Red Steel 2. They're trying to bring out not just of the family, but also the overall gaming crowd. And I do think Bayonetta can really, really help Nintendo get that, not just family image, but also a very, very respectable image overall in the gaming community in terms of not necessarily hardcore, but get its reins into some new areas in the gaming field.
I don't care much for the Wii U.
It's okay. It's the Wii. He doesn't like himself.
The Wii really had a strong presence but only for a short time. It felt like a small yet powerful explosion, especially with games like Mad World, No More Heroes, and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. But it's like, after a while, it's like they're going back to their usual practice. They'll come out with like a few good games, half of them from their own in-house development team. Then after a while, it's like they're pretty much shitting on themselves.
Mario. Wait, now you can buy the same Mario game, except this Toad is mahogany colored.
Mahogany.
They are kind of being jerks about it. They're really fishing for money. But the sad part is, people keep buying it. So hey, if people are gonna keep buying it, might as well keep doing it.
If it was about the money, then Nintendo would make their consoles region free. Because they stopped doing that the minute the Wii and 3DS rolled in.
Shame.
I don't know, I have a lot of friends that have the 3DS, and they ask me why I don't want one. I just really prefer the PlayStation and the PS Vita. All that stuff, although, I'm not gonna lie. It would be nice for Xbox to come up with something.
You like a handheld?
Mm-hmm. It'd be really nice.
Well, I could kind of see it happening, but I really don't think it would work out. I mean, it's really just not Microsoft's direction, and they really don't have much reason to go for handhelds, since their Xbox and Xbox Live Store and everything just sends in cash like freaking Blizzard and World of Warcraft. So they just really sit back and just coast and get money for it. So
I know, and they've got games that come out for the 360 that are available to download on your laptop or computer.
Well, I grew up with Nintendo. Like, the very first system I ever had, or we ever had, I guess, was a Super Nintendo, and that was the game. That was the whole world. And then eventually, as time progressed and new systems came out, the Nintendo 64 and Sega Dreamcast, I kind of broadened it, and from my experience, I just don't really think handhelds are really going to stay more or less where they are. At least for the next, I'm going to say 10 years, handhelds are probably just going to be more or less the same thing, just with more gimmicks, or the gimmicks that are already here, i.e., or an example, the 3DS, with its 3D functionality that most people have turned off. They'll finally fix it where it actually works and you can just look at it from any angle instead of a specific angle you have to keep your head for 3 hours. So, I personally think that the handheld things are perfectly fine, but I probably don't think they're gonna get any better, and any company is really gonna put much money into their handhelds anymore. I mean, so far every company that's tried to do that have not really gone very far. That, or they're just stunted completely.
Or it could be like this, especially in an age where handheld devices, and not just consoles, but devices in general, ranging from smartphones, tablets, they're starting to get into the gaming industry. They're starting to get their piece of the gaming industry too. I mean, they've been doing this since like the very start of the 2010 age. You have, ever since the start of the decade, it's been kind of like that. You got like these small tablets with like single core, dual core processors, better graphics cards than most laptops or computers combined, coming out with more graphically enhanced games. They're not just your average cell phone games that we're normally accustomed to.
Cell phone games have also increased, but that's just weird.
I personally feel that Nintendo and PlayStation, especially Nintendo, because they're having, they are having a bit of a crisis with money and the games, like trying to be on top, especially since Xbox has the whole Kinect thing and people really, really like that.
They don't like hitting their friends in the face.
Playing Skyrim on Kinect, just awesome.
Who's Rodar? He did it! He did it, mommy! He did it!
It's just amazing, and Just Dance on Kinect. I played that at AWA. Oh my god. And I have an issue with the controllers for the Wii and the PS3. Like, they never stay on me, so it works for me. I'm very accident prone.
The Kinect is actually a really, really advanced piece of hardware. But what do they come out with it? Let's dance and watch you act like an idiot.
Just Dance comes in handy, though.
Hardcore game for this.
Just Dance comes in really handy. They even have aerobic stuff, like to help you lose weight.
On the Kinect.
It helps me because I like to know that I'm doing the dances right instead of doing the whole Zumba routines and not burning any calories.
Hearing all these good things about Kinect is like, okay. I was about to say, is like, you guys bring out some valid points. that made the Kinect kind of respectable. When I saw the Kinect at first, it was like, these guys are kidding me.
Oh look, another ripoff.
You've no idea. I have so many friends that have the Wii, right? And they know how to move the remote to where they can be lazy. But with the Kinect, you can't do that. Like, you can't be lazy with a video game and half-ass it. If you're gonna play Just Dance, I've seen friends play Just Dance with me on Wii, and they'll get so lazy they'll realize where they can move their hand and the system will register it, but they can't do that with the Kinect. They have to make full body movements. So it keeps people from being lazy. Whereas you can still be lazy, but if you really want to get into the video game, you should try.
See, for the Kinect, what I think they should do for a game is essentially have you since the thing is really advanced to the fact that like you can like it can register which hand you're holding by heat and how you're moving and your freaking structure, because it can scan you. So you could like the Kinect is advanced enough that it could register you holding up your fingers and going pew pew.
Oh, I know. I've brought that up to friends. You're talking about guns, right?
That's what they should do. Like, if you've ever seen the movie Gamer, that's what the Kinect can do if we really, really put the time into things like that. I mean, we already have something similar. It's a little fun game called Gunstringer. But if we could advance that, boom. Completely in-depth game right there. Systems won't even become a problem. Won't even exist anymore. It'll just be one object. That'd be great.
I don't know.
Shut up.
But yeah, as good as the Kinect is, that could cause a little bit of deviation from what some fans would kind of want.
I guess, yeah.
Anyone remember what happened when EA thought about creating like this end-all be-all gaming console where there is no competition whatsoever? That was bad. Well, I think this was like half a decade ago when EA thought about, hey, you know what? Let's make this one ultra powerful console and knock out this whole console war right there. It sounds good and everything, but at the same time, it's like competition is kind of good for the industry. So creating an end-all be-all device isn't going to work very well.
I wonder if they can do that with video games. They should maybe make some more adult video games.
If I'm an adult.
Sex. Porn, you know.
They already have the Kama Sutra on the Kinect.
I'm talking about like with vibrators and stuff.
Yes, I know. Euro games.
Arrow.
Like for men that aren't that good with sex, get a fleshlight and have it teach you.
I don't see that being very Xbox friendly. I'm just saying.
They could do that for the Wii. That would definitely be awesome.
The new Wii attachment, the male fleshlight. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that. It is Japan. No. Well, maybe.
Japan maybe, but the Western market, now you know they're going to have CNN specials all up on that shit.
CNN, freaking BBC, it's gonna go the whole thing.
You're gonna have Christian religious protest groups all up on their ass about it. Like, how dare you make games that are so terrible to children? like the dumbasses there are.
I'd
Freaking
rather
Mel
my kids
Gibson
be
and-
doing that than having actual sex and getting pregnant.
Freaking Mel Gibson and Hollywood stars are gonna go over to China and talk like it's a third world country.
Oh boy.
I
come
feel
on.
it would
You
do a
can't really
lot.
You can't blame Japan for much though. I mean, they created the freaking panty vendor. How awesome is that?
That's pretty cool right there.
I actually think it
Yeah,
comes in
dude.
handy for women that are on their cycle and stuff like that.
I think. But come on, dude, they have the underwear vendor. That's awesome. I think that's hilarious.
Edgy
I'd have to buy something from there just to say I did.
Edgy from Kamen Rider O's would love it.
Panties.
Anyway, so Lexi, how about so do you have any particular games that really jump at you when you think games?
When I think games, I could go on about how I feel D&D shouldn't be online, but should become more of a legit online RPG game that should be made available for consoles without the cards.
Which game?
D&D Dungeons and Dragons.
You mean wait? They already have an online game.
No. I don't mean that way. I
What are you
mean
talking about?
for 360s, PS3, Wii.
Oh, kind of like what DC Universe Online did.
Yeah.
Well, the main problem with that is not only does the servers have to support it and all, but Xbox has to support it. The game has to be worked properly. Pretty much the only real quote-unquote issue right now is there's no market for it.
There's plenty of market. They'd have billions of nerds buy that shit up.
People who usually play games like some of the Dungeons and Dragons games, they're usually in it for the solo experience. Or if they're playing it with a friend, it's with a friend. That's like usually sitting right next to them on the couch or at a house close by or something, just chilling out, going through the story. Because most of the D&D games are very, very story based. Since, of course, that makes sense. Since it originally started as a tabletop game with nothing but your imagination. So, and for it to really be an online game, if you're interested in that, you pretty much already be playing Dungeons and Dragons online.
Yeah, but the one that's based online is not like the right way, if that makes sense. It's not made like the ones that you would play in a room.
Well, they can't. Because, I mean, if they did it exactly like, on the book, they pretty much just expanded on it and gave more abilities, which makes sense in an MMO. Because, since in that game, you only have 20 levels. So, either leveling would pretty much just be a 4, and you'd level oh, look, I played a month. I'm level 18. Woo! And that's it. And if you played how that D&D should be, then unless you're a fighter or something, you get no benefit for leveling up. Oh, I get to cast one more spell. Woo! So they pretty much just added a lot of stuff, intermittent bonuses for leveling. You got halfway to level 1, or I think they split it up into 4 sub levels before you level up, each giving you bonuses. So all in all, there's just not really a market for it on a console. PC, there's a ton of market for it, which is why Dungeons and Dragons Online is keep still going. But there's no console market for it.
I also feel that how would I say it? Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game, could be made into a console game like they did for Naruto, since it is an anime as well and a manga.
I'd jump on that.
I think they've made like dozens of video games based on the Yu-Gi-Oh universe already.
For PS2 though.
Yeah.
Not just that, PS2, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS.
I'm talking about the most recent with Synchro Summons and Catty Catherine and all that.
Oh.
Zexel?
Yeah.
Never mind. Pass. I hate what they've done to Yu-Gi-Oh. I used to be an avid watcher and player of Yu-Gi-Oh. Once it went out of the, after like season 4 or something like that, after Yugi stopped being the main character, it turned to crap.
Yu-Gi-Oh is still the main character.
Not really.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember when he stopped being the main character? Where it turned into a freaking prep school drama, and then it was about motorcycles, and then it just keeps getting shittier from there. So I stopped watching. I don't even care if Yugi's the main character again.
Basically, the whole Yu-Gi-Oh series turned into Gundam, Super Sentai, Brave series, and so forth.
It crapped on itself. I'm sorry, I really hate what they've done to Yu-Gi-Oh. They made it horrible.
I'm kind of on the fence on the whole Yu-Gi-Oh universe, other than the fact that they went that route of doing a story about different characters. The only difference is they have the syllable U slapped onto their names and such.
It wouldn't have bothered me so much, but once I saw the motorcycles, I died a little inside.
Card games on motorcycles.
I mean, talk about smoking and driving. Playing a holographic card game while driving. Now that's hardcore.
I don't know, I like the cat deck.
I suppose.
Have you tried playing the new stuff, or have you tried playing the new stuff?
Oh yes, I've tried it. It's kind of like a third generation Magic player would say to a new generation Magic player. There's so many new rules and so many new abilities that you have to just keep on track with it. And if you play tournaments, since all the time new packs and stuff are coming out, you have to keep constantly pumping your money into this. Otherwise, your deck becomes unusable because either A, you have to use all the stuff, otherwise somebody wins, or B, your cards are banned now because they're not in the set.
Or they're completely overpowered in certain standards.
Yeah, some of the older cards like you cannot fusion. Synchro is destroyed.
That logic.
Or a simple card like you cannot special summon. Juices everything out now.
I guess by that logic, that would totally suck.
Mm-hmm.
Synchro summons are fun to me. Spawn.
It took out a lot of the strategy and picking out your opponent for me. Now it's just have the best deck built so you can rush out your monsters and kill them. It's no longer a game so much as a who can get their fastest challenge.
Or simply who has a bigger dick.
I do.
Or more importantly, whose dick has a bigger wallet.
A lot of my friends have won really good cards by winning competitions.
But to win competitions, you have to keep up with it.
And they've kept up with it, though.
For me, it's not worth it anymore. Yu-Gi-Oh's dead to me.
By that logic, card games these days, especially Yu-Gi-Oh, has become the equivalent of motorcycle exhibition contests.
Magic is not as bad, but it's still up there. The main thing with Magic is, oh look, 2 weeks have passed. A new set has come out.
Hey.
Oh, looks like I have to throw out all my cards now.
I don't know. My friend Chandler made $60 off of 4 cards that he's had for years.
Well, that's the thing. You can still sell old cards, but if you want to play in tournaments, then if a new set comes out,
He sold them at a card shop. They were still legal.
They always have exceptions, but you can't sit here in what is the new one? Return to Ravnica. You can't sit here and pull out a fireball. They'll look at you like you're crazy. What is this overpowered art? What is this overpowered spell? It's a 1 and infinite. What the hell are you talking about? So, are there any other games that you could think of?
Hold on. I know this is random, but what is a size 35 in shoes?
Really big.
No, I'm taught this is UK size. European sizing.
I don't know. I'll tell you later. I'll look it up.
No, wait, never mind. 39. Okay, I don't know. I think that's 8. I guess. Maybe 5. I don't know what that means.
That was random.
But yes, let's see. Aside from that, video game wise, my favorite one, aside from Saints Row, I'd have to say I am a huge Call of Duty fan and Battlefield fan.
Oh, really?
Yes. I've got all the Battlefields up to 3, and I've got the most current Modern Warfare 3.
That's really cool. I'm not. You see, I'm not great at Call of Duty. I'm not gonna say that. But for a while, I would be invited over to my friend's house, and we would just sit there and play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and just start shooting out. It's definitely a great party game. It's right up there with Guitar Hero. But for terms of story, I'd probably prefer Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor was much more realistic to me. Well, for story anyway. So, I guess it's my turn now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got any favorites?
Yes, actually. I'd like to talk about one kind of new thing and then one old thing. I'm going to talk about the old thing first. Now, do any of you remember a game called Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, PlayStation 2?
Man.
Absolutely.
That was a game. I mean, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Looking at it now, it's not best looking game, even for PlayStation 2 standards. But even nowadays, it still holds up for its flowing, exploration of the world. Now, for those of you who don't know, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time was way before that movie came out, and the movie even then was a bastardization of the Sands of Time game and the 2 games that came after it. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time was great. It's right up there with Portal, the original, for just being a really good gem. The dialogue was great. It had very believable characters. The story centered around an arrogant prince who, it's stereotypical in the fact that he is an arrogant prince. But by the time you get halfway into the game, you know why he's that way, and you're fighting with him throughout the entire game. Its really cool aspects are draining the sand from the sand creatures and being able to rewind time. A great mechanic, full of full of pretty much epicness, using puzzles, which you almost never see anymore. I mean, how many games have you seen that use puzzles? Like 3? And it had, great acrobatic and parkour maneuvers. Think more along the lines of Ninja Gaiden meets, I'm gonna say, Mirror's Edge. And that was a great game. And if you haven't played it, try to see if you could find it for at your local GameStop for the PlayStation 2. It is a great game and absolutely worth every penny you pay for it. Now, another game I want to talk about is it's a remake, or more like a revamp, I guess, of an old game, Doom 3. And Doom 3 is now coming out for the PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. Doom 3 was also another great game. It came out, a while ago, like I think in sometime around 2004, something like that. And didn't really have too much to do with the other Doom games, and there was a lot of time in between these Doom games, but Doom 3 really set the bar for, for a horror shooter type game. Like, like all the suspense you get now, a lot of it does come from the sheer atmosphere of Doom 3, because, Doom 3, you walk around as the Marine who has, like a BFG 9000 and like 30 different guns on him. And it still manages to keep you on your toes and make you even nervous. One of the few games that actually managed to make you do that. The only game I can think of that maybe would make you do that is Dead Space, if you never played it before.
Dead Space is funny.
Dead Space, the first
Especially, too,
hours,
I like it when you get to the eyeball scene. That made me laugh.
the first 2 hours are scary, because, oh look, that monster's dead. Walk over it, oh god, it's alive. Then it's scary. After that, it's just, oh look, a monster. Shoot, 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 shoot. Not getting up now.
I take
And,
it.
So, Doom 3 was a really good game. It had actually a really decent story to it, and it actually had a lot of bonus features. Also something that you don't really see in games that often. You actually gained a lot of benefits for exploring. Like, there's a little thing you can do by finding bodies and collecting their PDAs, and they would give you either hints, interesting story arcs, or they could give you, access codes to, maybe supplies or weapon lockers. Not to mention the people in the game were also really cool. Like, if you can catch some people talking, it would really unnerve you for some of the things they would say or the atmosphere it would set. And then, later on when you fight the monsters, it's really hard to figure out when they're gonna pop up, where they're gonna pop up. And the music usually flows seamlessly with combat. It goes from, nice, cool, that eerie sort of alone music as you're walking through. A demon suddenly erupts from fire, and then the music changes to this combat music. You kill it, and then it immediately falls back and slows and dies down. And it was one of the few well-executed, soundtracks, right up there with the most latest Mass Effect game, for really setting the tone with music. And those are the two games that I think about right now when I think of video games in general. More of a retrospective, but overall more of an appreciation for what was past and how it holds up to the present, and hopeful, and making me hopeful for the future.
That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I should do this more often. Act like I know what I'm talking about.
I think they need to make a math video game.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, Yeah, like for
Are
trig.
you 5?
No, trigonometry. In Sims, add in
Oh,
trigonometry.
they already have games like that.
Yep.
Mind Academy or something. Yeah, they already have games like that. For the DS, though.
What are you, 5 or something? I don't think 5-year-olds do trig.
Well, all you said was they should make a math game, and I was sitting here thinking of, okay, do 30 times 30. You have 20 seconds.
Another game.
Yes?
Another game that I think about most of the time, if not all the time, would be the Beautiful Joe series, which goes back to Platinum Games' camp.
Great game.
Oh, that was awesome. That game introduced me to 2 other parts of media that I now hold dear in my heart. One, stylish games, such as the game I just mentioned, Devil May Cry and so forth. And 2, tokusatsu.
You're a tokusatsu.
Wow.
Yes.
Take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What I liked about Beautiful Joe was it really was it was like this new kid on the block that paid more so of an homage to classic beat 'em up titles like River City Ransom, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Double Dragon. The only difference is it had like its own style. It not only paid tribute to tokusatsu, but also paid tribute to classic cinema, action, and also what I liked about it was the comic art style, which you also brought up. And of course, it was one of those games that was created in a time where bullet motion and slow motion was kind of the norm for certain games, like say Max Payne, Binks, and things of that nature. What Beautiful Joe did with the whole time bending aspect was really phenomenal. Slow down, Mach speed. Those are awesome abilities right there. Also, what I liked about it is that Beautiful Joe, in a sense, is kind of like your best friend. It gives you all this cool stuff, but at the same time, it toughens you up before you go even further.
Yeah, I remember like the first boss battle you get is freaking brutal. Like it's versus the Dark Beautiful Joe or whatever.
Another Joe?
Boss, yeah, that's it. The first boss battle is just brutal. The first real boss battle. It's like you don't breeze through the game, but you get the hang of it. Maybe a few tries here and there. Then you get to the boss battle and you just die repeatedly.
There were 2 battles in the first Beautiful Joe that really got me on my toes, like nearly the whole time. The first was that battle with the shark, where that dude constantly replenished his health throughout the fight. That one irked me, but at the same time, it was such a rewarding challenge. The second one was this level called the Magnificent Five, which was before you fought Fire Leo, I think.
That should be right, yeah.
Yep, the Magnificent Five, where you fought where you had to fight again all those previous bosses. The only difference is that hit points are higher, your VFX meter is low as hell, and you have
Which is the time slowing meter for those of you who do not know, or time controlling meter.
Yep. It was really fun. Beautiful Joe 2, what it lacked in challenge, it made up for in its mini-games, which was the 36 Chambers of Beautiful. Now, those were much bigger challenge than the game itself. But other than that, that game also was solid, yet I'm surprised I've actually beaten it.
You know a game they should bring to newer systems, just to remind kids of all the funness that we had growing up?
That would be?
Parappa the Rapper.
Wow. That game.
They need to bring that.
that game was cool, but that game was one of those niche games, kind of like I don't remember the name of it, but the one where you're pretty much a rollerblade and you go around listening to punk music and you're feeding everywhere.
Jack Ryan Radio?
That's it. I can never remember the name of it. That was the game.
I gotta believe.
The Rapper was like it was that generation's Crazy Taxi.
I like Crazy Taxi too.
The most a basic game, but awesome.
There's so many games I feel that need to come back.
Unfortunately, most people aren't really interested in nostalgia anymore. It's all about franchises. I mean, the only one who really keeps pumping out nostalgia is Nintendo, and it's always, Mario, Zelda, some other random guy that they bring back. Mario, Zelda, some random guy that they bring back.
That is true.
Like, the whole Star Fox craze that they did for a bit. Star Fox 4, then they had, Star Fox Adventures, then Star Fox Assault, and then it just stopped. Dead. Off the face of the earth. I mean, I doubt most people have even heard of Star Fox.
Star Fox? Well, I checked out the first Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, and that game actually goes for well over $200 to $400 today.
Yeah.
Because it's so freaking rare.
But that's probably it unopened.
One also goes for a decent bit. Like, a Nintendo 64 game, things you can buy for cents this game can go from like $20 up. The highest I think I've seen it was $80.
Mm-mm.
That's just the world today.
No one cares about nostalgia.
I don't know. There's still a few people that care about it.
I guess, but usually they never have a corporate backing.
What about Donkey Kong?
Donkey Kong is kind of stopped for consoles, and he's mainly just, he's pretty much just all about Donkey Kong Country now. Do you guys remember Donkey Kong Again 64?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That game was also great. One of the few games where you actually get to see all of Donkey Kong's friends. Not to mention the mini games in there.
I know.
Donkey Kong 64
I liked
had some
riding the
amazing
ostriches and all that stuff.
You liked what?
I liked riding the ostrich a lot and riding the animals and collecting all that gold.
Yeah. I liked having to shoot the little alligators in the dark, and I liked the any flying mini game with Diddy Kong.
Maybe Nintendo should consider bringing some of those back. I mean, you have the whole Mario Kart Party, that one, and you've got Donkey Kong in there, but nothing really on Wii dealing with Donkey Kong.
Well, and again, we come back to the good old marketing. There's just not a market for it anymore.
Yay.
Like, so many games have like one great run, like a little mini franchise, and then they stop caring for like one quarter of a season in the gaming world and chucked out the window.
So
It's a shame.
I'd have to say, with that being said, do any of you guys have closing statements?
Well, for me, there are a couple, aside from Beautiful Joe, Bayonetta, and Wonderful 101 coming up soon, I still believe that there is hope for this industry. Whether classic, new, or coming into the future, I really hope they step their game up, and I really hope that the industry really pulls out of whatever mess they are in right now.
Nicolo.
I guess for me, my closing statement would be that if you really want a game to be, brought back, or a series, or a character, not only make the initiative, in example, having, I don't know, maybe Facebook pages, blogs, and all, and, posting and getting support for, wanting your characters back, like they did with Doom 3. There was a small group that were like, people saying, you gotta redo this, and that was part of the reason that Doom 3 even had an HT release. And, so, you gotta, if you really want these games to be out and everything, you have to make the initiative. If you want it bad enough, you'll rally the support you need to make sure it sees the light of day.
I think as for me, I say that we should, or that the people in the industry should work on making some video games more for adults. Catch my drift, hint hint, wink wink.
If you really want those games, just go to Japan. They have a ton of them.
I'll be going there sometime in 2013.
I mean, if you want adult games, they have games for everything there. They have games for people who like bunnies. They have games for people who like touching girls on the subway. Hey man, it's Japan.
Touching girls on the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stalk a girl and you feel her up on the subway. That's the entire game.
They also have games for stalkers in general, like the Biko series.
Oh, jeez.
It's amazing that I actually know that franchise.
I wouldn't put it past you, Dwayne.
They also have games for guys that wish they were in a school full of girls that are thirsty as hell, like Galgun.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a game called Galgun. It's a FPS shoot. It's an FPS rail shooter. I have the demo. It's about this guy named Kenzo who has to pretty much calm all these girls down because they want a piece of him. No thanks to a bunch of guardian angels. Yeah, look it up when you get the chance.
I'm gonna have to. It's caught my fancy. I say
all of games.
They should also maybe work on something, I don't know, more game system savvy, since we both know that we all know that the 360 and I think other systems have cameras in them for video chatting or conferencing.
So far I think it's just the Wii, and the Wii
360 has it.
PS3 has that. I think it's just the Wii and the 360 right now.
Well, what they could do is come up with a toy that can be controlled by the other person in another country, or another area.
They have something like that, but it's not a console.
I know, but they need to make it for a console.
Why are all your points about sex? I'm just saying.
Very sex deprived.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should watch more anime then.
That does nothing.
Ooh. Watch Spartacus. It's pretty much softcore porn with violence.
And people getting pissed on.
Yeah. That only happened like 7 times.
I don't know, I miss my fiance that much, or I'll just call him hubby because that's what I've been calling him, as hubby. Him being overseas has taken a toll on me.
By the way, support your soldiers.
Yeah.
Well, with that said...
Oh, no, hold on. I also have to state that you all should go out and pre-order any upcoming new video games that you feel that you would want. Mine is Halo 4.
Mine is Persona 4 Golden.
I don't know.
Mine is already came out, but it was Resident Evil 6.
My friend Reno pre-ordered that one. He waited at GameStop for the midnight release.
Yeah, I'm a Jew. I have no money. If I have a penny, I save it in a jar and I stare at it to make sure it doesn't go away.
So, with everybody making their statements and that being said, Dwayne or Showa.
Alright, everybody. Until next time, this is Showa saying, Johnny. See you later.
This is Draven Darkwood saying, I don't have a really cool witty remark, so get the hell out.
And this is Loli Lexi filling in for Zonga T. Felding, saying that we all love you and we're protection. Don't get a STD.